Chapter 3 Noble Consort Rome. Since Qing'er just woke up, she should take something light and avoid taking meat. I have asked the imperial chef to cook plain congee for Qing'er, Feng Tianyu said as he frowned. Your Majesty, please don't get angry. It's because Qing'er is very fond of meat and would explode with rage without meat in her meal one. Since she just woke up, it would not be good for her health if she loses her temper. Lu Rong quickly kneeled down in shock. Qing'er, listen to me. You can eat whatever you want when you have fully recovered. You need to take care of your health now. All right. Feng Tianyu looked at Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing merely lowered her eyes without uttering a word. It was as though she was dissatisfied with Feng Tianyu's words. In fact, Feng Ruqing was browsing through the information about noble consort Rong from the images stored in her memories. The princess mother was the empress of the palace. However, she had lost her life due to complications during childbirth. Even so, the emperor did not vent his anger upon the princess. On the contrary, he showered her with affection, spoiling her. Hence, simply no one was capable of stopping the princess from doing anything she wished. She had even sneaked out of the palace and nearly got herself killed. It was noble consort Rong's daughter who had saved her life. Noble consort Rong was merely an imperial concubine back then. She was very close to the princess ever since she saved the prince's life. As noble consort Rong had always been a sweet talker, she had successfully made the princess call her mother. Not long after that, she rose to noble consort and obtained the iron-blooded token from the princess. The iron-blooded token embodied the late empress Li's work of painstaking effort in building the army. The token commanded a lot of respect from the military and its power was extremely devastating. Therefore, a lot of people including the emperor was against the princess' idea of giving the token to noble consort Rong. However, the princess paid no heed to them and went on determinedly. She had upset all the devoted officials who were loyal to Empress Nalan. Your Majesty, Qing'er is angry. I will ask the imperial chef. Lu Rong felt bad for the princess. Me for extra chapters. Father. Feng Ruqing did not allow Lu Rong to finish. Then, in the very instant she cut her short and looked up, her eyes seemed to reflect a boundless night sky filled with dazzling stars, a beauty that made the world dim in comparison. Apart from her marble-white skin, Feng Ruqing's other merit was the overwhelming gaze she inherited from Empress Nalan. When Feng Ruqing was little, she was a petite belle and was the spitting image of Empress Nalan. As the emperor was deeply in love with Empress Nalan, he naturally loved Feng Ruqing with all his heart. It was a shame that aside from her eyes, the present Feng Ruqing looked completely different compared to Empress Nalan. However, that did not stop Feng Tianyu from adoring her. I need water and plain congee, she said in a hoarse but determined tone. At this moment, the room sank into an uncomfortable silence. Everyone in the room stared at Feng Ruqing in bewilderment. Qing'er, what did you say? Rooted to the spot, Feng Tianyu's voice quivered. Father, I only want plain congee. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates, better experience please click for visiting. This princess sounds like me lol. Chapter 4, Alright. Feng Tianyu was thrilled with Feng Ruqing's response and ignored Lu Rong's protests. Get the imperial chef to serve plain congee. Your Majesty, how about the pork knuckles? Lu Rong's face stiffened. She tightened her grip on the silk scarf. Noble consort Rong, didn't you hear what Qing'er said? She wants plain congee. Feng Tianyu's face darkened. Your Majesty, please have mercy. I'm just sympathizing with Qing'er. Engulfed with panic, Lu Rong quickly answered. Feng Ruqing had completely changed after she woke up. Previously, if the emperor stopped her from taking meat, she would throw a tantrum. Presently, she listened to the emperor obediently. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Noble consort Rome, you have crossed the line. Don't visit Qing'er these few days, Feng Tianyu snarled. Lu Rong had always been an eyesore to the emperor and he only met her because of Qing'er. Your Majesty. Lu Rong raised her head and gazed at the emperor innocently. Lu Rong was in her 30s. Despite her age, she still looked stunning and retained her graceful bearing. However, Feng Tianyu was not the least bit attracted to her. There was only Feng Ruqing in his eyes. Qing'er, I am afraid noble consort Rome would bring you some greasy food. You need to rest. I don't want noble consort Rome to bother you during this period. All right. Lu Rong bit her lip as she fixed her gaze upon Feng Ruqing anxiously. Sure. Feng Ruqing merely snorted. Me for extra chapters. Previously, the princess was such a fool. She had broken many people's hearts including her kin from her maternal family just because of Lu Rong. Now, she would never be the same. Since the emperor stopped Lu Rong from visiting her, it was a great delight to her. She did not want to be bothered. Your Majesty. An imperial guard rushed into the room and kneeled down in respect. What's the matter? The emperor's gaze swept past the imperial guard as he asked. Your Majesty, young Master Lu and Lady Tan have been kneeling before the imperial study for 2 hours. Ask them to go on until Qing'er forgives them. Feng Ruqing had nearly lost her life because of these two. The emperor had shown much mercy for not killing the both of them because of the chancellor and grand tutor. It was lucky that Feng Ruqing had woken up. Otherwise, the emperor would not let them off that easily. Father, are they Lu Yuchen and Tan Shuangshuang? Slightly startled, Feng Ruqing asked. Qing'er, Lu Yuchen went too far. He is looking for his own demise. Don't worry about him. Feng Tianyu furrowed his brows as he comforted Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing was his most beloved daughter, but how did Lu Yuchen treat her? Not only did Feng Ruqing have to deal with overwhelming loneliness, but she also nearly lost her life because of him. Chapter 5 Father, it is my fault. I should never have forced Lu Yuchen to marry me. It is natural that he holds a grudge against me. After that near-death experience, I have paid for everything that I have done to him. From now on, we will be like two parallel lines, never to intersect again, Feng Ruqing said with a bright smile on her face. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Since Lu Yuchen had never held Feng Ruqing in his heart, she would let him go. Presently, Lu Yuchen was nothing to her as she was no longer the old princess. My daughter has finally grown up. Slightly startled, Feng Tianyu stared at Feng Ruqing as he heaved a sigh of relief. The chancellor had always been loyal to Lu Yun Kingdom. However, the emperor had forced the chancellor's son to marry Feng Ruqing because she loved him. It was by pure luck that Feng Ruqing had decided to let Lu Yuchen go. Otherwise, the emperor would not have hesitated to break Lu Yuchen's legs so that he would stay by Feng Ruqing's side for the rest of his life. Father, I was not properly guided back then. I met Mother in my dream. She had guided me through all the morals and conduct of life. Father, you are a wise emperor. Don't get off track because of me. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes as she pouted. Hearing this, the noble consort Rong's face darkened. She had watched the princess grow up all these years. When Feng Ruqing said that she was not properly guided, was she telling others that noble consort Rong did not guide her properly? Qing'er, have you met Yen'er? Feng Tian held on to Feng Ruqing's fleshy hands. Feng Ruqing raised her head and smiled at Feng Tianyu. Her face was not pleasant to the eyes, but her smile was as bright as sunshine, lighting up the chamber. Father, this is not Lu Yuchen's fault. I was too naive, ill-tempered, fat and ugly. It was natural that Lu Yuchen did not want to marry me. Father, don't vent your anger on the Chancellor's family. Feng Ruqing was right. It was not Lu Yuchen's fault, he was forced to marry a notorious princess. She had even laid her hands on Tan Shuangshuang and caused the Chancellor's wife to black out from rage. As Lu Yuchen had always been filial and cared for his parents, he divorced the princess out of anger. Me for extra chapters. The princess had gone too far. Otherwise, she could still live a peaceful life in the Chancellor's manor. Nonsense. My daughter is the top lady in Luyun Kingdom. Don't be too humble. Although you are slightly flabby than others, no one else looks more appealing than you. Feng Tianyu furrowed his brow as he said. Feng Ruqing smiled bashfully. It was true that children were always the apple of their parents' eyes. If his words were heard outside those walls, she was pretty sure that she would be mocked. Your Majesty, it's time for the morning audience. Lu Rong got up slowly and walked toward Feng Tianyu. Her voice was full of tenderness. Qing'er, I will visit you again after the morning audience. Feng Tianyu's gaze swept past Lu Rong with annoyance and landed on Feng Ruqing. Father, I feel better. Don't worry about me. You are my daughter. I want to spend more time with you. Feng Tianyu got up. His domineering demeanor was overwhelming. The princess is sick. No one is allowed to meet her without my permission, said Feng Ruqing as he glanced at Lu Rong. Chapter 6. No one was allowed to meet the princess, including Lu Rong. Your Majesty, Qing'er was still very weak. Perhaps I can take care of her. So. Lu Rong took a deep breath as her face darkened. There is no need. The servant will take care of her. It's late now, Qing'er needs to rest. You may take your leave. Don't disturb her. Feng Tianyu snorted. At your Majesty's command. Lu Rong's face stiffened, her hands balled into fists. All the servants followed after Feng Tianyu as he left. The chamber sank into a peaceful silence. Feng Ruqing stared into the distance, all alone. After a while, she lowered her eyes and looked at her flabby wrists with a sorrowful smile on her face. I have never thought that I could live once again. Perhaps, I can no longer meet my brother for the rest of my life. Ah. This is. Feng Ruqing's eyes widened in shock. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. As Feng Ruqing stared at her wrists, a red thread suddenly appeared before her eyes. A red light flashed across, lighting up the whole chamber. In an instant, she was swallowed by a forceful strength and vanished without a trace. When the red light faded, Feng Ruqing was no longer lying on her bed. The chamber regained its silence. It seemed that no one had noticed what had happened in the chamber. The puffy clouds filled the vast blue sky. The sound of chattering echoed in Feng Ruqing's ears. Ha! Our herb slave is finally here. We don't need to starve anymore. It's been so many years. I have nearly forgotten the taste of herbs. It was fortunate that the human we put at that place has finally worked and got us a herb slave. Me for extra chapters. Wake her up to sow some herbs for us. I have been starving for several hundred years now. The humming lingered in Feng Ruqing's head like a buzzing mosquito. Feng Ruqing knitted her brows tightly as she opened her eyes. In an instant, a ray of sunlight pierced her eyes and she quickly covered her eyes with her hands. After a while, she put her hands down as her eyes adjusted to the sunlight. Who are you? Feng Ruqing asked in shock. Two little cutie pies, a boy and a girl, stood before her. Their eyes were filled with light, just like the stars sparkling in the night sky. However, looking at their innocent eyes and recalling the words they had just said, a chill ran down Feng Rooking's spine. She could not help but sneeze. Simply no one knew how many years these two little demons had lived. We are from the Divine Herbs sect. However, something has happened in the Divine Herbs sect. Qing Han and I have been stranded in this place ever since. We have been craving for spiritual herbs for years. Now, we have finally found you to sow the herbs for us. Feng Ruqing contemplated for a moment and did a quick scan through her memories. She realized that the princess knew nothing about the spiritual strength in Sangyu mainland. Naturally, she could not get any information on the Divine Herbs sect. However, Feng Ruqing knew the spirit herbs quite well. Spirit herbs were capable of healing and enhancing the strength of a cultivator. They were priceless and greatly sought after as martial arts dominated the kingdom. Chapter 7, You have gotten the wrong person. I don't know how to sow spirit herbs. If I am not mistaken, spirit herbs can only grow with spiritual qi in the surroundings. It cannot be sown by a human. Feng Ruqing regained her composure and stared at the two kids. You are wrong. The spiritual qi around us cannot be replicated. Since you are our herb slave, we would definitely pass the skill down to you. Why did you choose me? The corners of Feng Ruqing's mouth lifted. The place you are in now is actually the Divine Herbs sect. After the outburst of that incident, Sect Master had moved the Divine Herbs sect to this place. However, not everyone was capable of entering this place and becoming our herb slave. The little boy paused for a while and said earnestly, How many herb slaves have you found in the past? Feng Ruqing narrowed her eyes. You are the only one we have found after waiting for almost 1,000 years. All right, I understand now. Feng Ruqing lifted the little boy with her hands and gave him a smack on his buttocks. What are you doing? Feeling the pain in his buttocks, the boy flew into a great panic as tears started streaming down his face. The little girl, Qing Han, was stunned and quickly pounced on Feng Ruqing. She held on to Feng Ruqing's arms forcefully, her face was red with rage. You rascal! Put down Brother Fu Qin or I'll bite you. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Disregarding the little girl, Feng Ruqing raised her brow as she glared at the little boy. Who did you just call the herb slave just now? You. Before Fu Qin could finish his words, his eyes met her ruthless gaze and so he bit back the words. Me for extra chapters. No, not you. This young sister is so scary. Are all humans as vicious as she? That's great. If I were to sow spirit herbs for you, then I am your mother. Shouldn't you call me, Mommy? Hearing this, Fu Qin was furious. His parents had always been the vast universe. Who did this human thought she was to be called his mother? He wanted to fight back but it was all in vain. He had lost all his strength after being starved for years. Thinking that he was no match for Feng Ruqing presently, his face reddened with anger as he shouted. Mommy! Tell me, what would I get in return? Spirit herbs are precious. Presently, our strength is too weak and we are small eaters. You can take the remaining herbs. Fu Qin looked at Feng Ruqing intently. When you consume more spirit herbs, your strength would grow stronger and you can even lose weight. Besides this, I have the herbal dish recipes passed down by the sect master. If spirit herbs were to be used in the herbal dish, it could improve your weak constitution and enhance cultivation. Seeing Feng Ruqing's face darkening, Fu Qin added hastily. Originally, Fu Qin did not want to take the recipes out. However, Feng Ruqing was too savage and she would never sow the spirit herbs for them without anything good in return. Chapter 8 Feng Ruqing's eyes narrowed but she did not utter a word. Besides the recipes, Qing Han and I are very useful. However, we have been starving for years, so our strengths have not been improving. Once we have regained our strength, we could be your most powerful warriors, said Fu Chen anxiously as he saw the silent Feng Ruqing. How do you improve your strength? We are a little special, we feed on grade 3 spirit herbs. Fu Chen raised 3 fingers as he looked fearfully at Feng Ruqing. Grade 3 spirit herbs. You are no different from a thief, Feng Ruqing snarled. A grade 2 spirit herb was extremely rare in this kingdom, let alone grade 3. Even if she spent all her savings, she could only afford a grade 2 spirit herb. These little kids were actually asking for grade 3 spirit herbs. No, you are our herb. Before he said the word slave, Fu Chen quickly noticed the murderous intent flashing in Feng Ruqing's eyes and held his tongue. You are our mother one. Naturally, you would find a way to get grade 3 spirit herbs. Presently, your strength is too low and can only sow grade 1 spirit herbs. Spirit herbs would only grow with spiritual qi in the surroundings. Even though it could be replicated by humans, one would need to attain a certain level of strength to sow them. How do I leave this medium? Feng Ruqing asked softly. She had left her chamber for quite some time. Someone might find out that she was missing if she did not get back in time. We can send you out. You can just call our names if you want to get back in here again. Alright, get me out now. Me for extra chapters. As soon as she finished speaking, she was engulfed by warm sunlight. A blinding light flashed, making her close her eyes. After the light faded, she was back in her chamber. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes and rubbed her wrist. The red thread on her wrist was gone without a trace. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. At this moment, the door opened. A pretty servant walked toward her with a bowl of plain congee in her hands. When she saw Feng Ruqing lying on the bed, she heaved a sigh of relief. Your Highness, this is the plain congee that His Majesty had ordered the imperial chef to cook for you. Let me feed you. This servant was the first person Feng Ruqing had met. She was the maiden who had ran away from Feng Ruqing as if she had received too much of a shock. I don't want to eat it now. Put it down. I want to meet my father. Your Highness, you have not fully recovered yet. Please get some rest. You can take revenge on Tan Shuangshuang anytime when you fully recover. Stunned, Qingling leaned over and held Feng Ruqing in her arms. All these years, Qingling had always been by her side whenever she looked for trouble. Hence, when Feng Ruqing wanted to get up, she quickly thought that Feng Ruqing wanted to take revenge on Tan Shuangshuang. The princess had nearly lost her life because of Tan Shuangshuang. Naturally, the princess would not let her off so easily. Why should I take revenge on Tan Shuangshuang? I have something to discuss with the emperor. You don't have to come with me. Feng Ruqing frowned. She got off the bed and put a shawl around her shoulders. Qingling stood rooted to the spot. The princess was completely different after she had woken up. She was colder than she was before. Chapter 9 Feng Ruqing paid no heed to Qingling and turned to walk out of the chamber. There were too many constraints in the palace. She needed a princess manner. On the way to meet the emperor, Feng Ruqing saw, from a distance, a maiden in a green silk dress and a young man in elegant robe kneeling on the ground. The face of the maiden was ghastly pale. Her body appeared small and weak. It was natural that one would easily be infatuated with her. The man with a delicate face was covered in sweat, his eyes were filled with resentment and hatred. At that moment, a eunuch walked toward the young man. Young Master Lu and Lady Tan, His Majesty allows the both of you to go back. The eunuch swung the horsetail whisk as he said curtly. Did His Majesty say how he would penalize the Lu family? Hearing this, Lu Yuchen's body stiffened. Young Master Lu can just go back first. However, it is fortunate that the princess is awake. Otherwise, His Majesty would never have let the Lu family off so easily. The eunuch sneered, his words filled with cynicism. Everyone in Lu Yun Kingdom was aware that the princess was the emperor's treasure. Lu Yuchen was simply seeking his own demise by dumping the princess. Hearing this, color drained from Lu Yuchen's face. His hands balled into fists. He only loosened his fists after a long while. Shuang'er, let's go back. He turned to look at Tan Shuangshuang, his eyes filled with love. Sure. Tan Shuangshuang smiled weakly. As Tan Shuangshuang had been kneeling for a long time, her knees were numb. When she got up, she lost her balance and fell into Lu Yuchen's warm embrace. Seeing this, a fiery rage swept over Lu Yuchen. Me for extra chapters. Shuang'er, I am the one who dumped the princess and she nearly killed herself because of me. It has nothing to do with you. Don't come with me next time. Lu Yuchen clenched his teeth. Feng Ruqing was ruthless. He hardly knew what Feng Ruqing would do to Tan Shuangshuang if Feng Ruqing met her in the palace. Lu Yuchen turned his head and his face stiffened as he subconsciously pulled Tan Shuangshuang behind him. He glared at the person standing before him. It was Feng Ruqing, standing under the hot sun. Tan Shuangshuang tugged at Lu Yuchen's sleeve, visibly shocked. Feng Ruqing's body was 3 times bigger than Tan Shuangshuang. In Lu Yuchen's eyes, her round face was extremely awful. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates, better experience please click for visiting. Your Highness, I dumped you because of Shuang'er and my mother. However, it has nothing to do with Shuang'er. Please don't go after her. Feng Ruqing stared at Tan Shuangshuang's pale face. Tan Shuangshuang had always appeared in the Chancellor's manor and Lu Yuchen had never spent a night in the princess' room. The rumor was widely spread among the servants that Lu Yuchen would marry Tan Shuangshuang to take the princess' place. As the princess was so crazy in love with Lu Yuchen, she was naturally jealous and had vented her anger on Tan Shuangshuang. Not only that, she had also restricted Lu Yuchen from taking a concubine. This made Lady Lu confront the princess, which resulted in her passing out because of the argument. Chapter 10 In fact, even if Lu Yuchen took Tan Shuangshuang as a concubine, she could never replace the princess. The servants in Chancellor's manor would not have dared to gossip about the princess. Simply no one knew if the rumor was intentionally or accidentally spread around. Yuchen, stop offending the princess. It's all my fault. I should not have appeared in the Chancellor's manor every day. I deserved the 10 strokes of the whip. Tan Shuangshuang bit her lip and stepped back in fear. Seeing the panic in Tan Shuangshuang's eyes and the scars on her body, Lu Yuchen's heart was broken. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates, better experience please click for visiting. Your Highness, I know I shouldn't have dumped you. I did that because I was too furious about the things you did to Shuang'er and my mother. It is my fault, not Shuang'er's. Lu Yuchen should never have obeyed the imperial edict. The biggest mistake he had ever made was to marry the bratty princess. If you feel bad for Tan Shuangshuang, you should do something to make up for her grievance. Feng Ruqing rubbed her chin with a smile in her eyes. Feng Ruqing could not help but look at Lu Yuchen in disdain. If he had truly loved Tan Shuangshuang, he should never have brought her along to plead for mercy. Moreover, he had married another lady. If he was a real man, he should have shouldered the responsibility and never have gotten the person he loved involved in the first place. Lu Yuchen did not seem to understand Feng Ruqing. He clenched his teeth and continued, Your Highness, please don't hurt Shuang'er or vent your anger on my family. If you could forgive them, I will retract the divorce letter. A sense of shame dawned upon Lu Yuchen's face as he spat each word aloud. However, he had no other options. In order to save his family from trouble, he was willing to spend the rest of his life with Feng Ruqing. Hearing this, Tan Shuangshuang clenched her fists tightly. Her face was ghastly pale, bearing the pain of her nails digging into her palms. After all, she had put so much effort in getting Lu Yuchen to divorce the princess. Naturally, she did not want Feng Ruqing to continue staying in the chancellor's manor. However, Feng Ruqing was the princess. Lu Yuchen could do nothing but bow to her authority. Pfft. It is a pity that I am not interested in a man who doesn't belong to me. Feng Ruqing snorted and shook her head. Me for extra chapters. Your Highness, what do you mean? Lu Yuchen stared at Feng Ruqing in bewilderment. I said I don't like you. Even if you have not given your heart to Tan Shuangshuang, would never have fallen for a greasy and irresponsible person like you. Lu Yuchen was deeply in love with Tan Shuangshuang yet wanted to take her as his wife at the same time. Initially, Feng Ruqing was indifferent toward Lu Yuchen. But now, she was annoyed at him. Lu Yuchen burned with rage, his hands balled into fists. Your Highness, please don't judge my love for Shuanger. I did tell you when we got married. You are my wife, but I would never give you my heart, for I had given it to Shuanger. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes. The princess was truly a fool. What good was there to marry a man who would never love her back? How dare you? The eunuch quickly stepped in. He thought that Lu Yuchen wanted to apologize to the princess, but little did he know, Lu Yuchen had simply criticized the princess. Chapter 11. Feng Ruqing smiled and turned to look at the eunuch who had screeched at Lu Yuchen. Eunuch Lu, next time don't let this person in. Our relationship was over since that day. I don't want to cause any misunderstanding. Eunuch Lu looked at Feng Ruqing, stunned. This might be the very first time the princess was so calm in front of people, which surprised him a little. Princess. The color in Lu Yuchen's face changed. He hurried to stop Feng Ruqing from leaving. What do you mean? Feng Ruqing stopped and turned to look at Lu Yuchen with a faint smile. You refused to marry me and I am not getting married to anyone now, that's it. As for the Chancellor's manor, you don't have to worry. It was my fault after all, I shouldn't have forced you to marry me. Since I have my regrets, I will neither keep clinging on to you nor let father blame your family anymore. There were several things that Feng Ruqing still managed to tell apart. Her previous life was not related to her interference in a love affair, so she would not hate Lu Yuchen for this. However, she did not wish to see him anymore. Are you serious about what you have just said? Lu Yuchen narrowed his eyes in suspicion. This woman would let him go that easily. Maybe she was planning something evil against Shuanger. After all, Feng Ruqing was ruthless, there was nothing that she could not think of. How dare you? Eunuch Lu finally recovered from his stupor after hearing Lu Yuchen's disbelieving and questioning tone, making him squawk in anger. How dare you question Her Royal Highness? If His Majesty gets to know about today's incident, even the Chancellor is unable to protect you. Lu Yuchen's handsome face turned stiff. This was the Grand Palace, not the Chancellor Manor, so he did not have the nerve to be presumptuous. He inhaled sharply and clenched his fists. Thank you for your grace, Your Highness. Please excuse me. Let's go, Shuanger. Before leaving, Shuanger turned her head around to catch a glimpse of Feng Ruqing. Her thin lips pouted slightly, her beautiful face complexion was slightly pale, lacking of blood. However, her suspicious eyes still could not believe that Feng Ruqing had really given up on Lu Yuchen. Me for extra chapters. She was willing to lose face, shamelessly insisting to be married to Lu Yuchen. She would not budge just to stay by his side, although he would not even touch her. She did not even mention a word about her grievance at Lu Manor. His Majesty was unaware that the princess was still a virgin even after the wedding until it was revealed when she slammed herself against the wall. Feng Ruqing shifted her cold gaze to Eunuch Lu. Eunuch Lu, has father returned? Eunuch Lu replied respectfully, Your Highness, His Majesty is still in the middle of the morning audience and has not yet returned. I see. Feng Ruqing's lips curved up slightly. Then I will wander around the place first. I will come back to see him later. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. The truth was, Feng Ruqing hardly found any news related to the palace in this Bodis Memories. This Bodis owner was so lazy that she hardly stepped out of her imperial chambers. Later, she accidentally bumped into Lu Yuchen. It was then when she started to get out of the palace every day. In fact, her infamous stories had started to circulate among the people ever since. She was truly a bully who liked to torment and oppress both males and females. Just hearing her name gave the elderly and children nightmares. Thinking of all the trouble caused by Feng Ruqing before this, she felt helpless and it hurt her head. Pressing her temples, she was afraid that it was extremely difficult to change the people's perception of her now. Chapter 12. In the whole of Lu Yun Kingdom, except for her father the Emperor, everyone definitely wished for her death. If she had really died, the whole nation might commemorate her death with a national celebration. Feng Ruqing, you have hit such a low point in life. I don't know whether to scold or pity you. Feng Ruqing shook her head helplessly. However, taking over your body gives me another chance at life. Thus, I will not let the people continue condemning you for putting your father in such a difficult situation anymore. This would be the reward for using her body. A mellow sound of a flute from not far away suddenly cut off Feng Ruqing's thoughts. She looked up to find that she had unknowingly entered a bamboo forest. The sound of the flute came from deep within the bamboo forest. The airy and ethereal whistle filled the forest with serenity. Feng Ruqing took a small step forward. As her plump body moved forward, it made some small noises, but it didn't stop the flute's sound. It had become much clearer. A man in white like a god from a painting stood in the deeper part of the bamboo forest, playing a flute. Compared to the graceful bamboo pillars, his cold and lonely silhouette left an unforgettable image in the minds of those who had seen him. As for Feng Ruqing, the first thought that came to mind when she first saw him was marry him, and marry him. Nothing could compare to this gorgeous man in front of her, not even Lu Yuchen. The difference was like heaven and earth. If one was a tiny speck of dust, the other was the bright moon in the sky. Even though Feng Ruqing had only managed to see his side profile, it was enough to amaze her. Thus, when the man turned his head, she was sure that nobody could rival his good-looking features. He was so stunning that anyone would be easily drawn to him. Despite Tan Shuangshuang's reputation of being the most beautiful woman in Lu Yun, her beauty was nowhere near his. If this man wore women's clothing, who knows how many men would fall for his beauty. Feng Ruqing. The man's voice sounded pleasant and silvery like a river's flow. He stared coldly at Feng Ruqing, who had appeared behind him. Aren't you afraid of me anymore? The man stepped closer. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruqing blinked confusedly. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Afraid of him? He looked so gorgeous, why should she be afraid of him? Feng Ruqing had accepted her past self's memories, but she did automatically filter out some useless information. Therefore she quickly went through her memories after he had said that. Her face immediately darkened after a few seconds. Oh damn you, noble consort Rome. Previously, noble consort Roan kept scaring her that the person living in this bamboo forest was someone brutal and would transform into a werewolf at midnight before swallowing the people around him. It terrified her greatly, so she would not step into this bamboo forest at all. Even if she bumped into him somewhere outside the bamboo forest, she did not dare to raise her eyes to look at him directly. Only this man from this bamboo forest could make her past self feel frightened and avoid him like a plague. This, hee, Feng Ruqing giggled and replied, State Preceptor Nan Xian is very good looking, why should I feel afraid of you? Nan Xian's lips curved up slightly. His smile was almost unnoticeable. However, his gaze at Feng Ruqing reflected curiosity and deep thought. Do you really think that I am good-looking? Of course. Feng Ruqing's heated stare scanned Nan Xian from bottom to top. You'd look better without any clothes. Chapter 13. You'd look better without any clothes. Nan Xian's cold stare pierced Feng Ruqing as if he was trying to look into her soul. The way he was looking at her sent a shiver down Feng Ruqing's spine. She had this feeling that he somehow knew something she didn't. If Princess likes beautiful people, you are definitely more beautiful once you have slimmed down. There's no need to look at me. Fortunately, Nan Xian did not pry much from her, a faint smile was still playing on his lips. Then it won't be fun, right? Feng Ruqing approached Nan Xian slowly. She chuckled, I prefer someone who has perfect body proportions like you. TSK, I bet it feels different touching your skin. Then, Nan Xian's smile was mesmerizing in the breeze. What about comparing me to Lu Yuchen? In front of the beauty, Feng Ruqing didn't hold back her excitement. She chuckled. How could Lu Yuchen be compared to you? I was blind for liking him in the past. What a shame for me to ignore such beauty. The princess was indeed blind. This guy was far more handsome and gorgeous than Lu Yuchen. Why did she insist on having a guy who already had a lover? You are not Feng Ruqing, Nan Xian said as matter-of-factly. Feng Ruqing was nervous. She had dared behave in such manner in front of Nan Xian because she was sure that they had never met each other. How did he realize that she was not the real princess? Even her father didn't spot anything wrong with her cover-up. What do you mean? Feng Ruqing quickly composed herself and maintained her composure. She smirked. Who else would I be if not Feng Ruqing? I bet you cannot find another fatty like me in this country. It's just my instinct, said Nan Xian, approaching Feng Ruqing. They were so close that they could feel each other's breaths. However, I prefer this new version of you, compared to the previous Feng Ruqing. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruqing blinked her eyes. Why? Because the new you has good taste. This guy had a pleasant and graceful voice, but it darkened Feng Ruqing's face. She wondered, maybe this guy likes to be complimented by others too. I was immature back then and I had never seen you before. Now, I am more cheerful and have repented for good. I promise not to misbehave and hurt the people who really care about me. The most important thing is, other than Lu Yuchen, I have realized that there is a better guy waiting for me. The truth was, she used to be well protected by her loyal servants and the people from Empress Nalan's family after the Empress had passed away. It was just that she kept letting these people down. So, they refused to see her anymore. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates, better experience please click for visiting. Nobody can enter the southern bamboo grove, Nan Xian told her casually. His gaze was cold. In the future, if you wish to see me, you are welcomed here. I am not around for 5 days every month, but I usually spend my time in the southern bamboo grove. Feng Ruqing blinked in confusion again. What did he mean? Nobody was permitted here. So she could come here whenever she liked now. How did she manage to hoodwink the state preceptor this easily? This made her think. However, Feng Ruqing had a feeling that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. She could not believe that this ascetic guy could be seduced or fooled that easily. Chapter 14 State Preceptor. Is there a lake in your southern bamboo grove? Yes, there is. Feng Ruqing subconsciously rubbed her nose. I see, then can you ask someone to inform me when you wish to have a swim or bath in the lake next time? Don't worry, I will secretly peek at you without causing any disturbance. Nan Xian frowned. Perhaps it was because he could not bear with her perverted attitude anymore. It's getting late. You should make a move now. You can find me here tomorrow in the afternoon. Nan Xian gave Feng Ruqing a meaningful look. He continued, if you have any problems in regards to your immortal training, you can come here and ask me anytime. He hesitated for a few seconds and then added, if you really wish to see me take off my clothes, your wish will be granted once you have reached Immortal Warrior tier. Find authorized novels in WebNovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. There were about 10 warrior tiers on the mainland: Beginner Warrior, Earth Warrior, True Warrior, Spirit Warrior, Dark Warrior, Immortal Warrior, Holy Warrior, King Warrior, Emperor Warrior, and Divine Warrior. If it were based on old Feng Ruqing's previous cultivation, it would take her forever to master that tier. However, she had been reincarnated and things were not the same as before. She believed that she could get to that tier without much difficulty as long as she put in enough effort. Since you have promised me, you must keep your word. Feng Ruqing winked and grinned. Or else, I will not just strip you but also sleep with you. Nan Xian glanced at Feng Ruqing and said in a flat voice, if you can win over me, I don't mind surrendering myself to you. Although Feng Ruqing was not sure about Nan Xian's real capabilities, she assumed that from her father's respectful treatment toward him that he was not an ordinary warrior. If she wanted to beat this guy, it might be a bit challenging. I think I will strip you first, Feng Ruqing replied while tapping her round chin. You should leave now. Don't forget to come here tomorrow. Nan Xian reminded her again after looking at the sky. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruqing had just realized that she had stayed longer than she should at the southern bamboo grove. Her father should be done with his morning audience by now. If Eunuch Lu had informed him that she was looking for him and she did not show up at the palace by now, her father would definitely be anxious. After giving it some thought, Feng Ruqing raised her hand and touched Nan Xian's handsome face. Beautiful man, you better wait for me in this southern bamboo grove. I am coming back here for you tomorrow. Complex emotions flashed in Nan Xian's eyes. He looked at Feng Ruqing, who left after she had indifferently and unemotionally waved goodbye. Master. A turquoise-colored snake stuck out of Nan Xian's sleeve. It hissed, this princess seems like she has changed. Last time, she would not even dare to lift her head in front of you as if you were a demon. Nan Xian's eyes never left Feng Ruqing's silhouette. He seemed calm. Then he spoke emotionlessly, maybe, she is the one we are looking for. Previously, the person he had predicted in his vision was an evil princess. He was not sure about it until the current Feng Ruqing appeared. He had this feeling that she was the person he had been waiting for all this time. She was finally here. However, she is too weak, really weak. Is she really the one we are waiting for? Asked the azure snake one hesitantly. Nan Xian remained silent. However, deep in his heart he knew that whether Feng Ruqing was really the right person or not, she had entered his life and his life would no longer be peaceful. Chapter 16. As time passed, he told Qing'er about this matter less often than before. Feng Tianyu sighed. Qing'er, you must remember that everything I do is for your own good. Feng Ruishuang is not as innocent as you think. Moreover, noble consort Rong is not a good mother as well. As a child, Feng Rishuang was good. Even though the emperor had given all his attention to Qing'er, he did not treat Rishuang badly. However, she had grown up to be more manipulative and wicked. His last straw was when both the mother and daughter had managed to manipulate Qing'er to trust them wholeheartedly. Looking at the new gray hair growing at Feng Tianyu's temples made her sad. Father, I was immature and had made you worried. I won't let you down this time. All right. Feng Tianyu chuckled after hearing his daughter's promise, which made him feel contented. I feel glad that you have figured it out now. If this situation persists, I don't know how to face your late mother in the afterlife. At the mention of the late Empress Nailan Yan, the atmosphere in the royal study chamber grew heavy. Father. Feng Ruqing finally broke the silence between them. I actually came here for another matter. Do you agree to my request? Feng Tianyu frowned. Qing'er, have you not given up on Lu Yuchen yet? Listen to my advice, he is not your perfect match. No, Feng Ruqing shook her head. I wish to request for a new residence. His daughter's words shocked him greatly. He looked at her in bewilderment. Qing'er, staying in the palace is just as nice. Why do you need a new princess manor? How can I let you move out without being worried? Father. Feng Ruqing's eyes shone with excitement as she laughed. The state preceptor is going to accept me as his disciple. There was no choice for her. In order to leave this palace, she used the state preceptor as her wild card. As expected, after listening to her explanation, Feng Tianyu was not against her wish anymore. He felt that it was indeed a good idea. Me for extra chapters. Truthfully, Feng Tianyu himself was not sure about the state preceptor's real capabilities. He did not even know about his real intention of staying in Luyun Kingdom. But he was sure about one thing. If Qing'er became his disciple, there was nobody who could fight her in this world. Qing'er, are you serious? All this while he had never accepted anyone as his disciple. What made him change his mind? About this matter, I am not sure too. Feng Ruqing blinked and continued, maybe he thinks that I am talented, that's why he changed his mind. However, due to his special status, the palace is not very convenient for us. Thus, I plan to move out to a new residence, which will make it easier for him to guide me. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Good. Feng Tianyu was very delighted at the news as he repeated the same word a few times. His eyes beamed with joy as he was happy that Feng Ruqing had gotten such a rare opportunity. Qing'er, if you want to train with the state preceptor, you must listen to him. No more acting childishly like in the past, do you hear me? Moreover, do not let anyone know about this. I am afraid that it will bring you harm. Feng Tianyu said the last sentence seriously. He never liked surprises. He always cared about his daughter's safety. I understand. Feng Ruqing kept nodding her head. As long as she could move out of the palace, she would agree to anything. Furthermore, she had the state preceptor as her wild card now, which made everything easier for her. Chapter 17. Alright, I will grant you a new manor near Southern Street. It is close to General Nalan's manor. Feng Tianyu hesitated for a few seconds before adding, however, General Nalan's whole family had previously stopped you from being close to noble consort Rong. For your own sake, try to avoid any fights with them as they are still your late mother's family. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes. Her late mother, Nailan Yan, was the eldest daughter of the Nailan family. Initially, after her mother had passed away, her uncle General Nailan had treated her very well. But due to noble consort Rong's backstabbing, she didn't listen to him and had insisted on giving the iron-blooded token to noble consort Rong. Not only that, she and Feng Rushuang had always bullied her uncle's children together. Thinking of the various wrong behaviors done in her past life, she started to feel a headache coming. Father, don't worry. I will not cause any trouble to uncle and his family again. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. The past Feng Ruching was a fool. She could not even differentiate between the people who really treated her well and those who just wanted to use her until it hurt the people who loved her. Speaking of the iron-blooded token, she would definitely get it back. I feel glad that you are able to think this way. Feng Tianyu smiled and said, previously I was wondering about your sudden change in behavior. Now that you have become the state preceptor's disciple, it has cleared my doubts. It must be his teaching that has turned you to be a sensible and understanding person. The state preceptor had changed her. Feng Ruching narrowed her eyes. If he was willing to take off his clothes, then she was willing to be changed by him. He is nice, said Feng Ruching as she smiled. Of course, the state preceptor was good. He was such a rare beauty. Your Highness. A eunuch suddenly rushed in and bowed. The Chancellor is waiting outside to see you. Chancellor. Lu Yuchen's father. Because of Lu Yuchen, Feng Ruching did not wish to see anyone from the Chancellor's manor. She frowned and asked to be excused. Father, then I will dismiss myself. Your work is more important. All right. Me for extra chapters. Feng Tianyu tensed up. He ordered coldly, let Lu Feihong come in. When Feng Ruching turned to walk out from the imperial study, she saw that Lu Feihong was already waiting at the door. This humble servant pays respect to the princess. Feng Ruching stopped walking and glanced at Lu Feihong calmly. Chancellor Lu, where is Lu Yuchen's divorce paper? Previously, Lu Yuchen had sent her the divorce paper. But too bad that she could not accept it and had committed suicide. So it must be sent back to Liu's hand. Lu Feihong was stunned. He quickly explained, Your Royal Highness, I will ask Yuchen to take back the divorce paper and destroy it. Furthermore, he will personally lift the palanquin to meet you and welcome you back. Please give him another chance. Feng Ruching smiled brightly and replied, Chancellor, I think you have misunderstood me. I am asking you to send the divorce letter to my place. I have already discussed it with Lu Yuchen and have agreed that we are no longer related after this. Lu Feihong was surprised and confused. He stared at Feng Ruching in disbelief. The princess was going to divorce Yuchen for real. Didn't she love Yuchen more than anything? It was unbelievable that she was willing to leave him. In fact, the princess' reputation was bad. She was not only fat but ugly as well. Nevertheless, she was divorced now. Would she even be able to marry again after this? Ha ha ha, such a perv. Chapter 18. Of course Lu Feihong would not dare to say these words out loud in front of Feng Ruching. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and tried to appease her. Your Highness, I have taught Yuchen a lesson. He won't dare to repeat it again in the near future. I have already said what I wanted to say. If you refuse to send the divorce letter to my palace, Feng Ruching, will announce it to the world that I am divorcing Lu Yuchen. This time, she would be the one who divorces him, not the other way round. After that, Feng Ruching moved her gigantic body toward her princess chamber. This body was too heavy for her. Moreover, she had been walking a lot today, which was making her breathless. Beads of sweat started to form on her snow-white forehead. However, she felt refreshed and contented to be able to get down from her bed and walk around. It had been a long time since she was bedridden at her nursing home. Feng Ruching could see Qing Ling standing at the door from afar. She was looking around anxiously, until she caught a glimpse of Feng Ruching and sighed in relief. This servant came to pay respects to your Royal Highness. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Qingling lowered her body and bowed in respect. Qingling, come over here. I have something to tell you. Enriching summoned her with a glance before walking into her chamber. Qingling's heart was beating fast out of nervousness as she quickly followed Enriching into the chamber. Her eyes were red from crying as she was distressed. Your Highness, have I done anything wrong? She asked. I remember that you were handed to me by noble consort Rome, am I right? Enriching narrowed her eyes with a spurious smile playing on her lips. Previously, Qingling was not the original maid who served her, but was chosen by her late mother. After she got to know noble consort Rome, under her influence, she started to feel that her maid was a nuisance who kept nagging at her, so she sent her to the laundry room. This Qingling was sent by noble consort Rome. Of course she would never go against her command. So they had always caused trouble and bullied people together. Me for extra chapters. Qingling was a bit dumbfounded. She looked at Enriching in confusion. She asked timidly, Yes, I was given to your Royal Highness as a gift by noble consort Rome. Have your Highness forgotten about it? Yes, Enriching answered drily before she continued, Then, can you tell me what noble consort Rome told you to do after following me? Qingling blurted out resentfully, Noble consort Rome ordered me to take good care of your Highness and never to go against your wishes. I have to do everything to make you feel pleased. Prepare any food that you wish to eat. Tag along wherever your Highness wished to go anywhere. If I do not treat you well, noble consort Rome will hit me to death. What else did she say? That's all. Qingling shook her head and pleaded, Your Highness, I have never dared to go against your order and had always kept noble consort Rome's words in mind. Could you please tell me if I have done anything wrong that displeased you? Enriching sneered. As expected, her bossy and spoiled rotten behavior was fully cultivated by noble consort Rome's pampering. As for this Qingling, there were not many problems with her. She did truly care for her, but her position as a servant had left her with limited choices. If she did anything that went against her mistress, not only would noble consort Rome beat her to death, her mistress would never let her go too. Qingling, you do know that my father is the ultimate master in this palace and he dotes on me. Yet, you keep obeying noble consort Rome. Don't you think that you are confused about who actually holds the authority now? Qingling was confused and wondered in her heart, but the princess was the one who obeyed noble consort Rome most of the time. Enriching warned her with a sly smile, I will move into a new princess manner soon. At my place, you must only listen to my instructions. If I find any unusual relationship between you and noble consort Rome, I will not hesitate to do what I did to the others the last time. Chapter 19, Building Up the Princess' Prestige. Your Highness, I wouldn't dare. Qingling was shocked to find that the princess had changed a lot since the day she woke up. If she still contacted noble consort Rome, she would be doomed. The princess would beat her to death. Suddenly, someone was berating another person outside the prince's chamber. It sounded like, Luli, what are you doing here? Is the prince's chamber a place that you can simply enter as you wish? Go away now before the princess sentences you to death. Luli. This name caused a ripple in Enriching's heart. She walked past Qingling and stepped outside. Outside the prince's chamber was a garden full of peach blossoms. In the garden, a thin girl stood stubbornly under a peach blossom tree. She wore a simple maid attire. Her thin and weak figure gave people the illusion that she might be blown away by the wind any time. I will leave the place immediately once I get a glimpse of the princess. Who do you think you are? You are just a weak laundry maid in the palace. What makes you think that you can meet her highness? Standing in front of Luli was a fierce old woman who was a senior servant. Her eyes were filled with impatience and wickedness. Go away, leave now. Or else Her Highness won't let you go so easily. In this society where people regarded cultivation as the main principle, even eunuchs and maids in the palace were required to acquire a certain cultivation level, but Luli was an exception. Her body was too weak, so she was not strong enough. Luckily the late Empress had pitied her and kept Luli by her side. Soon after, the late Empress passed away due to labor complications. So Luli was automatically sent to stay with the princess. Now, even the princess did not want her anymore. She could only work as a laundry maid, enduring sufferings and constant bullying in the palace. Please, I beg you. Let me just get a glimpse of the princess. I would do it without her knowing. I promise not to disturb Her Highness. She pleaded while looking down worriedly. She was worried about the prince's health. At the same time, she was sad to see this place where she used to live for so many years, but was no longer able to get in as easily as before. Reminiscing about her past, she would not be here if not because of the late Empress' help. She would have been dead in this cold palace. Now, knowing that the princess was victimized, how could she be at peace? Cheap servant. Since you refuse to leave, you deserve the consequences. The old servant thought of something evil. Bring this servant down and beat her to death. Even the princess doesn't care about your life, so I would just let you die. Luli started to panic, but she forced herself to stay calm. She forced a smile. You don't have to be angry, I will just leave at your command. She could just sneak into this place the next time when people were not aware of it. It was not worth it for her to die now. Hee, do you think you can come and go as you please? The old servant sneered in reply. As this maid did not have any real capabilities, her presence only annoyed her. Noble consort Roan had spent so much effort in raising the princess into a spoiled brat, but this maid kept giving her good advice. Fortunately, the princess trusted noble consort Roan the most, so she didn't get to do anything. And now that she still wanted to be around the princess, her life should not be spared anymore. The two guards grabbed Luli's shoulders to hold her in place. Luli became more nervous and felt more helpless. She tried to wriggle her way out. What are you doing? Let me go now. Her Highness will not let you beat me to death. She was just around 3 years old when the late Empress had passed away. But she had raised the princess until now. She could not believe that Her Highness would treat her with such cruelty. The princess was just influenced by the wrong people. One day, she would figure out the truth. Chapter 20. What are you doing? Suddenly, a voice said. Luli's body stiffened. She turned around only to see a gigantic body. Luli's racing heart had slowed down, but then, it quickly throbbed anxiously again. Her face was ghastly pale. Feng Ruching walked toward Luli. There was neither a glistening crown on her head nor dazzling colors on her face. However, her skin was fair and flawless like an exquisite jade. Your Highness, Luli is too ignorant and had left the laundry area without permission. Let me take her away. The old servant bowed slightly and paid her respect to the princess. Don't waste your time on those who don't listen to you. Just kill them. Feng Ruching rubbed her wrist as she looked at the old servant with a bright smile. Your Highness is right. We should just. The old servant bowed again respectfully. Before she could finish her words, Feng Ruching slapped her. Although Feng Ruching's cultivation was low, thanks to her gigantic body, she had slapped the old servant hard across her face. The old servant's face turned red and swollen and blood trickled from the corner of her lips. Your Highness, did I do something wrong? The old servant clenched her teeth as she asked. Her eyes were filled with resentment, but she dared not offend the princess. Granny Chin, don't you know your mistake? Feng Ruching sneered. Granny Chin, the old servant, was noble consort Rong's nanny. Ever since noble consort Rong had gotten closer to the princess, she had brought Granny Chin into the palace. Granny Chin was responsible for discipline in the prince's chamber. Hence, Feng Ruching could tolerate Qing Ling but not Granny Chin. This is my chamber. No one is allowed to do this without my permission. Feng Ruching's gaze turned to the imperial guards who were still holding Lu Li's shoulders. Both the imperial guards exchanged looks, loosened their grips on Lu Li's shoulders and took a few steps back. They had gotten used to obeying Granny Chin's command and had forgotten the real master of this chamber. Me for extra chapters. Qing Ling, take Lu Li to change her dress. She will not go back to the laundry. From now on, she is my personal attendant. Feng Ruching looked at Lu Li, who was lost in wonder, and heaved a sigh of relief. The old princess was such an idiot that she could never distinguish good from evil. She had broken the hearts of the people who had truly cared for her. Not only was the princess not mad at her, she had allowed her to stay by her side. Was that a dream? Lu Li pinched her cheek hard as tears streamed down her cheeks. It was the tears of joy. She bit back the pain on her cheek and wiped off the tears. It was not a dream. The princess had finally come to her senses. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Feng Ruching stared at Granny Chin, the corner of her mouth slightly lifted. Her eyes were icy cold, sending a chill down Granny Chin's spine. Granny Chin kneeled down before Feng Ruching, her hands balled into fists. Your Highness, please have mercy on me. I truly don't know what I have done wrong. Feng Ruching took a few steps closer to Granny Chin. Firstly, I am the master and you are my servant. When someone looked for me, you did not inform me but had taken action on your own. Secondly, I don't care what had happened before. From now on, I don't need those who are overbearing and could not tell right from wrong to stay by my side. Thirdly, you don't belong to the palace. So, you can either get out the palace or go back to noble consort Rong's chamber. Chapter 21. Granny Chin was stunned by Feng Ruching's sudden rebuke and stared anxiously at her. This old servant was assigned by noble consort Rong to stay with Feng Ruching because she chased away those who were loyal and cared for her. Now that the princess had thrown her out of the princess chamber, noble consort Rong would definitely not spare her life. Your Highness, please have mercy on me and let me stay with you. Granny Chin kept bowing to the princess, her voice trembling in fear. Take her out and kill her. Feng Ruching waved her hand in annoyance. This old servant chooses to leave the palace. Granny Chin had nearly burst into tears. She thought that the princess had changed and would show her mercy. Little did she know that the princess was still ruthless and ill-tempered as she was before. Does she truly think she could leave the palace safe and sound? She knows too many secrets of noble consort Rong. Noble consort Rong would never let her off. Feng Ruching's lips curved into a mocking smile. At Huaqing Palace, Lu Rong sat comfortably on the couch, staring at the servant who was kneeling before her. Feng Ruching threw Granny Chin out of her chamber. Glared balefully and was no longer as gentle as she used to be. Yes. Feng Ruching is truly different now. Lu Rong lowered her eyes, her hands on her knees balled into fists. She could feel the pain on her hands as the nails dug into her palms. After the near-death experience, Feng Ruching had gone beyond her control. Did she go anywhere today? Lu Rong asked after pondering for a while. Her Highness went to the southern bamboo grove besides meeting His Majesty. Bang! Me for extra chapters. Lu Rong slammed the table as she got up. She quickly regained her composure as she suddenly remembered that she was still in the palace. What's wrong with Chinger? The state preceptor is extremely vicious. She should not go into the southern bamboo grove. She bit back her anger and furrowed her brows. No way. Feng Ruqing went into the southern bamboo grove even though I frightened her off. I must meet her. Seeing the drastic change in Feng Ruqing, Lu Rong could not help but panic. Get me to the Serene Palace. I want to meet Chinger. The name Serene Palace was given by the emperor as he wanted his most beloved daughter to live a joyful and carefree life. The love of the emperor toward Feng Ruqing was something that Feng Rushuang could never have. The love of his majesty and Serene Palace all belonged to Shuanger. No one can take it away from her. Since leading Feng Ruqing astray does not seem to work, I must think of a way to get rid of her. Lu Rong clenched her fists tightly with a determined look on her face. It was a pity that when Lu Rong reached Serene Palace, Feng Ruqing had left the palace together with 2 servants. She could not help but leave reluctantly. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. In Southern Street, a modest yet solemn manor stood in the center. There was a plaque that was hung on the wall with glittering gold words, Princess Manor. It was astonishing and overwhelmed with loftiness. His Majesty is truly amazing. He has actually gotten this manor ready in half a day time. However, the plaque is too glaring. Luli, get someone to change the plaque as fast as possible. Feng Ruqing walked into the manor as soon as she ended her sentence. Chapter 22. Fluffy clouds drifted across the lush green valleys. Fu Chen rested his soft rosy cheek on his hands as he stared blankly at the vast blue sky. Qing Han, why isn't mommy here yet? I'm close to dying of hunger. Fu Chen pouted and stroked his growling belly. As soon as he finished his words, the earth shook violently, a flabby silhouette came into view. Thrilled with joy, Fu Chen got up and looked at Feng Ruqing with longing eyes. Qing Han was hiding behind Fu Chen as she stared at Feng Ruqing fearfully. Feng Ruqing was truly ruthless, so Fu Chen was afraid of her. Mommy, have you started sowing spirit herbs? Fu Chen looked at her with innocent eyes. Although Fu Chen was scared of Feng Ruqing, hunger had overtaken his fear. Fu Chen, let's have a discussion. Feng Ruqing smiled as she walked toward Fu Chen. Seeing his pitiful gaze, she could not help but feel sorry for him. What is it about? Fu Chen swallowed hard and asked. He could feel that Feng Ruqing was actually planning something evil. Look, you are actually making me do free labor by sowing the spirit herbs for you. Moreover, the number that I could sow with my 2 hands is limited. Is there a way to get others to help me? The skill for sowing spirit herbs was highly confidential and could not be simply passed down. However, the number of spirit herbs that Feng Ruqing was capable of sowing was only sufficient to supply food for the 2 kids. As Feng Ruqing could only take the leftover after the 2 kids took enough for food, Feng Ruqing would not get anything in the end. It was obvious she was not interested in such a bad deal. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Me for extra chapters. I can only pass the skill to you alone. Moreover, others may not have achieved the strength to learn this. Fu Cheng was slightly startled. Forget it. There are many ways to lose weight and I can enhance my strength on my own. Since I would never get the spirit herbs, I quit. Feng Ruqing shrugged. Wait. Seeing that Feng Ruqing was about to leave, Fu Chen reached out and tugged at her dress. Yes. Feng Ruqing knitted her brows as she turned to look at Fu Chen. Fu Chen hesitated before taking out a book with bronze cover. It seemed as if the book had been kept for decades and had turned yellow with age. However, it was lofty and imposing. This is the Beast Taming Book. You can summon the spirit beasts to sow spirit herbs for you. The strength of the spirit beasts is strong. However, don't forget that you must form a contract with the spirit beasts before you can pass the skill down to them. Besides humans, there was a spirit beast's territory in the kingdom. They lived peacefully and had never interfered with others. Only those who had attained a certain level of cultivation were capable of owning the spirit beasts as their battle partners. For ordinary people, they could not even get close to the spirit beasts. Chapter 23 Deal. However, since I have to sow spirit herbs for you, shouldn't you pay me something in return? Besides this beast taming book, is there anything else that you are keeping? You can use it to exchange for the spirit herbs. Feng-Ruching took the book contentedly. Are you a demon? Stunned, Fu Chen stared blankly at Feng-Ruching for a long while. Fu Chen had given her the two most precious things that he had, but she was still not satisfied. We truly have nothing else. We have given you the beast taming book. We have nothing left. Qing Han nearly cried her eyes out. Seeing Qing Han's innocent face, a faint sense of guilt flickered in Feng-Ruching's eyes. Although the two kids had been alive for years, they were still children at heart. It seemed that Feng-Ruching had gone too far. All right. I will provide you with spirit herbs from now on. You can help me when you have regained your strength and leave this place. Oh yeah, what else can you do? Qing Han blinked and stared dazedly at Feng-Ruching. She looked so adorable. Feng-Ruching could see tears at the corner of her eyes. Since when did this human become so kind? I can deal with thugs. I bite. I am extremely ferocious. As long as you give me the spirit herbs, I can bite anyone you want. Qing Han bit her finger and sank into her own thoughts. Is she a dog? Feng-Ruching stared wordlessly at her. Give me the spirit herbs book and the herbal cuisine recipes. I want to study them. Feng-Ruching said after contemplating for a while. It was late, Feng-Ruching could not stay here any longer. If Luli did not see her in the chamber, she would inform the emperor. By then, the whole palace would sink into chaos again. Me for extra chapters. They are all in my mind. I will pass them to you now. Fu Chen took a few steps forward, and he reached out to Feng-Ruching's head. Boom! A loud bang sounded in Feng-Ruching's head. Hundreds of thousands of words flooded her mind as if she was born with all those skills. I have passed all the skills to you. The beast taming skill is of great use to you. You must take a good look at it. After a long while, Fu Chen retracted his hand and said. Feng-Ruching entered the place through the red thread on her wrist, and Fu Chen needed to send her out if she wanted to leave. As soon as Fu Chen said his last word, he sent Feng-Ruching out of the place. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Seeing Feng-Ruching out of the place, Fu Chen stroked his forehead that was covered in beads of cold sweats. That was a close call. She almost seized all my possessions. Fortunately, I still have one left with me. Brother Fu Chen, what could you do with the sword passed down by the former sect master? Qing Han wiped off the tears at the corners of her eyes and turned to look at Fu Chen. I have no idea. It seems delicious. I need to enhance my cultivation in order to eat this. Otherwise, I would have eaten it immediately. Fu Chen sighed. The sword was his food. He would never give it to Feng-Ruching. That was why he had quickly sent her back, or he would have nothing left for himself. Chapter 24 Feng-Ruching was lying on her bed when she got out of the place. She put away the book in her hands and walked toward the door slowly. The door creaked open, the sun was shining brilliantly outside. The daylight poured down on her. She stretched her body with a bright smile on her face. It feels so good after leaving the palace. Although the person who loved her the most lived there, the gloomy atmosphere in the palace was oppressive and overwhelming. Even the sun shone brighter outside the palace. Your Highness, there are only 2 of us serving you. Do you need more servants? Luli bowed slightly to pay her respect to Feng Ruqing. There is no need. I would pick the guards myself. As for servants, 2 of you is enough. Feng Ruqing shook her head. Since she had the beast taming book with her, she did not need guards to secure the princess manor. After all, humans were no match for spirit beasts. Luli, clear the land in the backyard together with Qingling. I need the land to sow herbs. What? Luli was stunned. Her Highness wants to sow herbs. She could just buy it from the herbal store. Why would she do that? Feng Ruqing did not tell Luli that the land was meant for sowing spiritual herbs. Among the skills that Fu Qin had passed down to her, there was a skill that could conceal the spiritual herbs by making them look like ordinary herbs. Even a master was not capable of seeing through the disguise. Hence, it could keep the princess manor out of trouble. Hurry up. I need to go out for a while. I hope that the land is ready when I return. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting me for extra chapters. At your Highness' command. Luli regained her focus and answered respectfully. Ever since Feng Ruqing woke up, she was completely different. Luli no longer needed to keep an eye on her. Naturally, sowing herbs was far better than messing around like she used to. Feng Ruqing paid no regard to Luli and strode out of the manor. She turned around only to see a new plaque was already fixed above the door. The words inscribed on the plaque were more imposing and domineering, Supreme Princess Manor. That's such a great name. I am the best in Luoyuan Kingdom from now on. Feng Ruqing squinted and rubbed her chin. The words were wildly extravagant and conceited, but she loved it. Feng Ruqing looked away contentedly and walked towards Southern Street. The spirit beasts lived far away from the human territory, and they had never crossed each other's paths. However, some humans would capture the spirit beasts and sell them for money. Naturally, these spirit beasts were not strong. The spirit beasts that had attained a certain level of strength would choose to take their own lives instead of bowing to the humans. The beast court was the pet store in Huaxia. The spirit beasts were kept in the cages with their tails between their legs, and they were all in low spirits as some young ladies and masters picked their favorite spirit beasts. Sister. Just as Feng Ruqing stepped into the beast court, a pretty maiden who was standing not far away from her called out to her. The maiden was slightly startled before her eyes flickered with joy. Feng Ruqing's face darkened the moment her eyes met the maiden's. It was such a small world. Feng Ruqing did not expect that she would meet Feng Ruishuang in the beast court. Chapter 25. As opposed to Feng Ruishuang, the people around her took a few steps back in shock as if they saw a demon standing at the door. Sister, ever since you fell unconscious, I had always wanted to pay you a visit. However, Father did not allow me to disturb you. Are you angry at me? Feng Ruishuang stared at Feng Ruqing with a bright smile on her face. A childlike innocence shone in her eyes. In Luoyuan Kingdom, Feng Ruqing was as ferocious as a demon, and even a monster would hide away from her. However, Feng Ruishuang was the only person that Feng Ruqing treated well wholeheartedly and had always wanted to give everything she had to. Angry at you? Why should I be? Feng Ruqing collected her thoughts and smiled. Her flabby body was shivering, and her eyes turned into a baleful glare. Father said that he does not blame you for looking for the state preceptor the other day. As the state preceptor is so handsome, it is natural that you would fall for him. Sister, what are you talking about? I don't get you. Feng Rishuang stood frozen, forcing a smile. Feng Riching should not know that Feng Rishuang went to Southern Bamboo Grove and was bitten by the state preceptor's pet. Even if she knew, she should not confront her in public. Noble consort Rong was right. Feng Riching was utterly different after she had woken up. Father told me about this. Since you did not seduce the state preceptor, why would he say that? Perhaps he was confused. I will explain to him when I return to the palace. Rishuang, don't worry. I don't believe that you would set your cap for the state preceptor. Feng Riching said decisively as if she was not aware that color had drained from Feng Rishuang's face. Me for extra chapters. Sister, no worries. I am fine as long as you trust me. Feng Rishuang nearly exploded with fury. However, she dared not offend Feng Riching. She bit back her resentment and forced a smile. In Luyun Kingdom, the emperor's words carried a lot of weight. As the emperor of the kingdom, he would never tell a lie. Apparently, Feng Rishuang, who looked innocent and harmless, had truly seduced the state preceptor. Feng Rishuang could feel the many disdainful eyes on her. To her, Feng Riching was truly good for nothing. She should not have confronted Feng Rishuang with so many watchful eyes around, putting her in such an awkward predicament. Of course I trust you. However, I was in a rush and forgot to bring money with me. Since I treated you so well, could you lend me some? I want to buy some spirit beasts. Feng Riching's lips curved into a smile. Feng Rishuang sighed in relief. Noble consort Rong was wrong. Feng Riching still trusted her like she used to. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience. Please click for visiting. Sister, you can pick any spirit beast you want. It's all on me. The corner of Feng Rishuang's mouth lifted slightly as she said with an innocent voice. The spirit beasts in the beast court were not pricey. Feng Rishuang could definitely afford it. That's great. Feng Riching burst into laughter. A chill ran down Feng Rishuang's spine. She could feel that something was out of her control. Chapter 26. Feng Riching turned to walk toward the cages. Seeing this, the people around her stepped back to make way for her. They were afraid that they would get into trouble by accidentally being in her way. When Feng Riching drew closer, the spirit beasts in cages bared their teeth and growled. Their face gradually turned ferocious. Although they had been tamed and were kept in the cages for a long time, their ferociousness was triggered whenever a stranger approached. Feng Riching did not utter a word and only chanted the beast-taming spell. In an instant, the spiritual qi surrounding her turned soft and delicate as if a warm arm was caressing the spirit beasts. Feeling her spiritual qi, the spirit beasts turned docile and lay quietly in the cage as they stared cordially at Feng Riching. In fact, these spirit beasts had been tamed before. Hence, Feng Riching could calm their ferocity by just chanting the beast-taming spell. However, her strength was no match for the wild spirit beasts. I want 2 spirit rabbits, a 4-armed ape, and all the spirit degus that you own. Feng Riching truly liked the 2 spirit rabbits as they were extremely adorable. Even if the degus combat skills were weak, their sharp fangs were the most powerful weapons. If they were cultivated properly, their strength was not inferior to the other spirit beasts. As for the 4-armed ape, it was smart and agile. She could make it as a good door guard. Seeing the spirit beasts that Feng Riching had selected, Feng Rishuang could not help but sneer. They were nothing as their strength was too low. However, even if Feng Riching bought a ferocious beast, with her current strength, she would end up being devoured by her own beasts. Sister, are you done? If yes, let me pay for you. Feng Rishuang walked toward Feng Ruching with an innocent smile. Me for extra chapters. What is the most precious spirit beast that you have? Take it out for me. Feng Ruching disregarded Feng Rishuang and turned to look at the court keeper. Your Highness, the most precious beast that we have has not been tamed yet. I am afraid that it might hurt you. If that happens, I could never run my business again. The court keeper's voice was trembling. That's fine, take it out. I want to have a look. If I really like it, I would make sure that it is a good deal. My sister has nothing but money. You have nothing to lose. Feng Ruching stroked her chin. Sister, that's too risky. Feng Rishuang sank into a great panic and tugged at Feng Ruching's sleeve. The treasure of the beast court would definitely blow a hole in Feng Rishuang's savings. Although she was a princess, she was not of the same rank as Feng Ruching. Her monthly allowance was much lower. Had it not been for noble consort Rome who managed to get a certain sum of money from those who fawned on her, she would not have had enough money to pay for Feng Rishuang. Rishuang, I have spent so much money on you and noble consort Rome all these years. I even lent my iron-blooded token to both of you for a few days and you never returned it to me after so many years. The money I spend now is nothing compared to the money I spent on the both of you. Sister, didn't you gift the iron-blooded token to my mother? Feng Rishuang was stunned by Feng Ruching's sudden rebuke. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Chapter 27, I gifted it to noble consort Rome. The iron-blooded token is a relic passed down from my mother. Why would I give it to others? In fact, I agreed to lend it to noble consort Rome for a few days, but she refused to return it to me after so many years. There is great confusion between us. Feng Rishuang stood frozen and dazed. She was not around when Lu Rong got the iron-blooded token. She simply did not know how Lu Rong got the iron-blooded token. The only thing she knew was ever since Lu Rot got the iron-blooded token, no one in the Four Kingdoms dared to mess with her. Is it true that Feng Ruching just lent it to mother for a few days? Sister, I am not sure what had happened. Let me check with my mother. Also, you are my sister, so I would definitely buy these spirit beasts for you. Feng Rishuang turned her thoughts back to the present, a faint smile played on her lips. Feng Rishuang paid the court keeper generously. Deep down, however, her heart was bleeding. That was indeed a tremendous amount of money. However, if she did not do that, Feng Ruching would not let her off easily. Take out the beast now. Feng Ruching turned to look at the court keeper. The court keeper was slightly startled and turned to glance at Feng Rishuang. You just do what my sister says. If you dare to mess with her, His Majesty would tear down your beast court for sure. Feng Rishuang frowned as she snarled. By doing so, Feng Rishuang was telling others that Feng Ruching had always been bossing around whoever that was standing in her way using the emperor's name. The court keeper stared at Feng Ruoxuang as if thanking her for the reminder. He then signaled the servant to take out the beast. Me for extra chapters. Sister, the court keeper is taking out the beast now. Please don't vent your anger on the beast court. It's not good for father's reputation. Feng Rushuang looked up at her with a smile. Feng Rishuang, how dare you mislead the public by making a false imperial decree? Now, Feng Ruching was also staring at Feng Rishuang with a broad smile. Sister, what do you mean? Feng Rishuang stood stunned, her eyes filled with confusion. Find authorized novels in webnovel faster updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. You are not only slandering me, but you have also even passed down a false imperial decree. Since when did father want to tear down the beast court? Father is such a wise emperor. Do you think he would do something without proper deliberation? Or, would it be that your mother is trying to usurp the throne? Enriching said with an oppressive and domineering tone. Sister, what are you talking about? My mother is loyal to His Majesty. She will not do that. You are doing her injustice by saying this. Dumbfounded, Enriching shivered in shock. A burning rage swept over her like fire. Mother was right. Enriching has changed. Why would she do that? Presently, Enriching is really annoying. If there was no conspiracy, why did you taint father's reputation? Chapter 28. Everyone in the beast court stopped moving, their eyes were fixed on the two princesses. Enriching's gaze swept past the surroundings. She quickly spotted a cold and doubtful stare directed at her. Among the group of people was a youth dressed in brocade robe with a chiseled, handsome face. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. The youth appeared to be 18 or 19 years old. His face was emotionless as he stared quietly at Enriching. Enriching quickly knew the youth's identity. She pursed her lips and turned to look at Enriching's face that was drained of any color. Enriching felt suffocated as she clenched her fists tightly. The person who stood before her was still the fat, bloated lady. However, her domineering demeanor was oppressive. Enriching felt as if Enriching was capable of reading her mind. At this time, the servant took out a cage. Enriching took a deep breath, her hand stroking her throbbing chest as she stared at Enriching in fear. Enriching could not get her eyes off of the cage. It was a wolf with white silver and glossy fur, its blue eyes were bright and clear, glaring at the people in the beast court. Is this cage specially tailored? Could the snow wolf escape from the cage? Your Highness, all the spirit beasts can never escape from the beast court. However, this snow wolf is wild. You may want to consider. There is no need. I want this. Take it to my manor. Enriching will pay for me. Enriching broke into a smile as she turned to look at Enriching. Me for extra chapters. Enriching, this is just a piece of cake for you. Also, don't taint my father's and my reputation. Otherwise, I would not let you off. Enriching's lips were trembling, but she did not utter a word. She was pondering over the amount of money spent on the beasts today. Oh yeah, don't forget to tell noble consort Rome that she has been holding my iron-blooded token for years. It's time to return it. Trust that noble consort Rome would not keep it for herself. When Enriching was about to leave, something suddenly crossed her mind, so she turned to look at Enriching. Enriching raised her head in shock. She was paying the money because she wanted to stop Enriching from talking about the iron-blooded token. However, all her money was spent for nothing. Enriching walked into the crowd, looking for the youth, but all in vain. That's all right. Since I have left the palace, there are a lot of chances to clear up all the misunderstandings at the general manor. Enriching let out a sigh. Southern Street was bustling with people. Enriching walked straight to the princess manor after leaving the beast court. After walking for a while, a long arrow shot through the still air, toward Enriching's head from behind her. At this time, a stone flew through the air and hit the arrow. The arrow flew past her head, but it was close enough for her to feel the fletching brush her face. Enriching wiped off the blood on her face, her back was covered in cold sweat. Chapter 29. Her soul was much stronger than other people, so she could sense the danger. However, her body was too weak and too plump, which prevented her from escaping it. If someone didn't rescue her on time, she would not have survived the arrow. Feng Ruqing turned around. She saw a youth wearing long sleeves standing not far away from her. The youth had a cold and emotionless expression, as if the incident that had happened just now was not related to him. "Thank you." Feng Ruqing pursed her lips and thanked him sincerely. The young guy seemed calm, but deep in his heart, he mocked her sincerity. This woman knows how to say thank you too. "I saved you because I don't want Grandpa to feel sad. Although he does not want to see you, he won't wish for something bad to happen to you," he said with apathetic eyes and a mean tone. He added, "One more thing, since I have saved you once, you better not appear in front of Dyer. She is afraid to see you." Dyer had a disability since birth. She had autism. However, when she first met Feng Ruqing, maybe due to their blood relation, she tried to approach her. But what did Feng Ruqing do? Just because Dyer surprised Feng Ruqing unintentionally, she gave Dyer a ruthless kick and even bullied her mercilessly for many years after the incident. This caused her parents to lock Dyer at home. They did not dare to let her out from home again. Feng Ruqing was in a daze. She knew that the real bully was the owner of her body, but she still unknowingly felt sad. "I am sorry." This apology was made on behalf of the original Feng Ruqing. Sincerity could be seen in her eyes. The youth was taken aback and shocked. He lowered his gaze and clenched his fists. He never expected Feng Ruqing to apologize to him, but he kept warning himself that he should stop being soft-hearted to her again. Despite countless times of being soft-hearted, their kindness only led to more hurt and damage. Me for extra chapters. The person you should apologize to is not me, but Dyer. She is the one hurt by you the most. Moreover, my grandpa is very old now and he is not feeling very well recently. I know that you had moved out of the palace. I beg you not to come close to the general manor, they cannot endure any forms of hurt now. Feng Ruqing stayed silent. She knew that no matter how many times she apologized, it would not erase the pain caused by her. The only thing she could do now was to spend her whole life making up for their loss. "That's it, princess. I won't give you any more advice. I just hope that you will think for the sake of His Majesty. He is a very good father. You have hurt so many people, please don't hurt him anymore." The youth glanced at Feng Ruqing with an icy and distant expression, then he turned and walked toward the other side of the street. Actually, he did not even know the reason behind his sudden decision to rescue Feng Ruqing. It was obvious that she was the culprit behind Dyer's suffering. Maybe, he did not have the heart to see her die in front of him as she was the only bloodline left by his aunt. Or it might be due to the incident that had happened at the Beast Court. The words she said to Feng Ruqing somehow gave him a glimmer of hope that she might have changed. However, he did not dare to bet on it. He was afraid that if he lost the bet, what waited for the whole general's manor was another heartbreak. Feng Ruqing stood in place, watching the youth leave. At this moment, her heart was filled with agony and despair. She felt sorry for Nayland Dyer who had suffered so much grievances. She even felt very sorry for the old general who had been pissed off by her at such an age. Looks like I need to pay a visit to the general's manor after I have made the necessary arrangements for the princess manor. Will he be shocked to see me then? Find authorized novels in Webnovel faster updates, better experience. Please click for visiting. Chapter 30. The news of the attempted assassination upon Feng Ruqing had immediately reached Feng Tianyu's ears. Feng Tianyu was having a discussion with some ministers when he was told about it. He was extremely furious, which scared the ministers to death. Nobody dared to anger him anymore at this moment. Find it out. Investigate it immediately. I want to know who had the nerve to touch my beloved daughter. Qing'er had just left the palace not long ago and someone had already tried to kill her. If the assassin was not caught, wouldn't the whole world think his daughter as an easy target? One more thing. Feng Tianyu narrowed his eyes, which flashed with fury for a moment. He continued, Feng Rishuang faked an imperial decree and threatened the beast court. Let her reflect upon her misdeed in the palace, and she is not allowed to appear within the 3-meter radius of the princess manor. Actually, Feng Tianyu was aware that noble consort Rong did not dare to rebel against him. Qing'er had changed for the better, so he would not let this mother and daughter lead Qing'er astray again. Find authorized novels in Webnovel Faster Updates. Better experience, please click for visiting. Thus, he followed Feng Ruking's words and temporarily put Feng Rishuang on house arrest, so that she would not cause trouble outside. As you command. The Imperial Guard bowed respectfully and was ready to leave. However, just as the Imperial Guard was about to leave the main door, Feng Tianyu spoke again, hold on, arrange more skilled fighters to protect Qing'er. Do not let her find out about it. She doesn't like being followed by many people. There was a year when he ordered people to follow Qing'er whenever she went out with Feng Rishuang. Qing'er would be furious every time he did it. After that, he only dared to ask them to follow her secretly without her knowledge. Nevertheless, this beloved daughter of his totally did not understand the reason behind his action. She would either quarrel with him or ignore him. In fact, Feng Rishuang and noble consort Rong held higher positions in her heart compared to her biological father. A throwback of various past incidents played in Feng Tianyu's mind. He chuckled bitterly. Luckily, his daughter was more mature now. So he would not be ashamed to see Yen'er in future. At the princess manor, Qingling stood in front of the beast cage with the snow wolf locked inside, gazing at each other. Looking at this snow wolf dazedly, she then tilted her body toward Feng Ruqing and asked in confusion, Your Highness, where did you get this snow wolf from? It's a gift from Feng Rishuang. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruqing stroked her chin thinking that she had burnt a big hole in Feng Rishuang's savings this time, which improved her mood instantly. Qingling, Luli, both of you take good care of this snow wolf. If it causes any disturbance, inform me immediately. This snow wolf was still a Tier 3 spirit beast. Its cultivation level was equivalent to a true warrior on Earth. With Feng Ruking's current cultivation, she still could not tame the snow wolf, that was why it was temporarily kept in the cage. But Qingling muttered distressfully, this snow wolf, it keeps staring at me. It seemed like she had stolen the snow wolf's food. If it stares at you, you just do the same by staring back at it, Feng Ruqing replied casually. She added, one more thing. If anyone is looking for me during this period, I won't see them. I will be busy studying about my herbs farm. I might also discuss weight loss with others as well. Qingling's eyes widened in shock. Did she hear wrong? The princess was planning to lose weight. Didn't she only eat meat and sugary food all this while? Your Highness, why do you want to lose weight all of a sudden? The moment Qingling said those words, the first thing that came to Feng Ruking's mind was the state preceptor's calm face. To sleep with the state preceptor, of course. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.